Nelia Feliz, primero que nada, muchas gracias por darme tu tiempo, por estar aquí en The Latin Experience. Esto es una serie donde estamos celebrando la mujer. Thank you for coming and welcome to The Latin Experience.
Gracias por la invitación. Me encantó cuando tú me escribiste y me dijiste, oh, ¿te gustaría hacer penal? Like, yes, absolutely.
Primero, what do you remember most about arriving in the Bronx at the age of 10?
Es una historia que yo la cuento a veces, porque cuando tú vienes de la República Dominicana, de Santo Domingo específicamente, del 17 de febrero, ahí fue que yo me crié.
¿Tú eres de la 17 de febrero?
Yo nací en Guachupita.
¡Wow!
¿Ok?
Wow.
Entonces, cuando tú vives en una situación donde la luz se va cada rato, no hay luz, la luna es lo más bello de la bonita del mundo porque eso es lo que te está alumbrando en la noche. Y no hay lavadora, secadora, tú tienes que lavar a mano y secar.
Yep.
Vamos a ponerlo en contexto porque mi hija me lo dijo los otros días. Pero no fuiste tú que fuiste al fin del cul-de-sac a buscar agua. No, no fui yo, pero yo estuve ahí. Fue mi experiencia también.
O sea, tu hija te sacó en cara.
Porque mis hermanas más grandes estaban ahí. En mi casa estaban compartiendo. Y mis hermanas más grandes estaban ahí. Y yo siempre le he dicho a mis hijos de la manera de cómo nosotros vivíamos en la República Dominicana.
Okay.
Entonces, al yo decir, no, porque no había agua, tú tienes que ir, porque no había agua, tú tenías que ir al final del cul-de-sac a buscar el agua y a cargarla y a traerla.
Yep.
¿Era Nelia que lo hacía? No, porque Nelia era la más chiquita. Entonces, yo no lo hacía, pero pasó, o sea,
era lo que ocurría.
Es parte de mi experiencia, porque yo no agarré el balde, no significa que no fue mi experiencia, es válida.
Es interesante que, porque los jóvenes de hoy en día no tienen la menor idea de lo que es agarrar 2 galones de agua y cargarlo de una esquina a otra ni siquiera. So, it's pretty interesting que tú le estás dando esa experiencia, por lo menos esa historia se le está pasando a tus niños.
Exacto.
¿Verdad?
Es lo que importa, es lo que yo digo, es lo que importa.
It's what matters.
Anyway, entonces yo llegué de la República Dominicana a los 10 años al Bronx, al 165 en Clay Avenue.
Wow.
Yes.
De la 17 de febrero a Clay Avenue.
Yes.
En 165.
Entonces, ahí nosotros estábamos, yo me recuerdo que estaba conversando con mi hermana y ella me dice, oh, ¿tú quieres lavar eso? Y yo, no, yo me quiero poner eso ahorita, yo no me lo voy a, yo solamente me lo puse como por 5 minutos, yo me lo quiero poner ahorita. Porque la mentalidad de que hay que lavar, hay que tender y hay que esperar, tal vez al final del día, tal vez mañana que tú te vas a poner la ropa. Y ella me dice, no, eso se hace de una vez. Y yo, ¿qué? ¿Y qué es esto? La lavadora y la secadora, señores, que yo no sabía qué era. Simple y sencillamente, así de sencillo.
¿Fue ese tu primer like culture shock cuando tú viniste?
Yes.
La lavadora y la secadora.
La lavadora y
Okay,
secadora.
that exists.
In a laundromat. What? There's plenty of them. No es que una y dos, son muchas.
Aquí ya no se lava a mano, así que Nelia, tranquila.
No que lo hacía, pero la experiencia, el sufrimiento de mis hermanas quejándose.
How was it to adapting to a new language shape you?
The language situation was interesting because growing up in the Bronx, surrounded by dominicanos y hondureños, que en ese entonces yo no sabía qué Honduras, en dónde, qué hogarífono, que yo no sabía nada de eso. Entonces, growing up around that was okay because era mi cultura, era mi gente. Pero cuando había cosas como, oh, I'm going to tell the teacher on you, y ella pensaba que yo no hablaba el idioma, they went and tried to tell the teacher, y yo le decía a la maestra, porque la maestra hablaba español e inglés, en español yo le decía, yo sé lo que ella está diciendo. Yo estoy entendiendo que ella me está tratando de culpar de esto y esto y esto y esto y esto. Yo no hice eso. No fui yo, no fue así, fue de esta manera. Ella piensa que solamente porque yo no tengo el idioma, yo no la estoy entendiendo, pero a los 10 años, todos los días, enseñándote, tú aprendes.
Tú captas algo, sí.
La otra experiencia con el idioma, ya cuando me estoy formando y estoy creciendo en high school, fue oh, why do you talk like a white girl? Why do you talk so proper? Esa fue como la otra moneda, la otra cara. Because I was growing up in the Bronx, in the boogie down Bronx, where people talk a certain way. Y yo, que de mi crianza, mi familia entera, de parte de mi madre, todos son maestros, son educados. Entonces, a mí me enseñaron que la educación es muy importante. So I'm not going to sit here and be all ghetto to please you when I know that to be educated and be regarded to a certain degree, you have to speak proper. Y tú ves que yo no tengo acento. Yo llegué a los 10 años and I worked hard to make sure that I fit in. Because, ¿qué me iba a pasar? Yo no sé. So that's my language. Ahí están como los dos lados de...
Mira, es muy interesante porque obviamente el Bronx, como cada borough, tiene como un acento, un slang, como se dice en inglés. Que te critiquen o que te quieran afuerear de algún modo porque tú quieres aprender a hablar proper, ¿verdad? En el inglés neutral.
Ya, fast forward, cuando yo me enlisté en los Marines, ahora me decían, Nelia, di November, because I used to say November. Coffee. I didn't say November or coffee. I know now, but I didn't when I was a teenager. Y cuando se pasan un par de tragos, olvídate, my New York comes out.
Did you feel any pressure to mature quickly?
No, because I had two older sisters. And they took... Mami no estaba aquí. Mami se quedó en la República Dominicana. Mami tiene la historia de Balboa. De ¿cómo se llama? The one that crossed the border. He's Dominican. Y era una visa para un sueño y cruzó el río y toda la cosa. What's his name? I thought it was Balboa or something like that. Esa es la historia de mi mamá. Entonces, mami no estaba aquí cuando nosotros llegamos. Primero llegaron mi hermano más pequeño, mi hermana más pequeña y los dos más grandes. Yo fui la última.
Yo fui la última.
Que llegué de mi familia.
¿Cuántos son ustedes en total?
5 de parte de papi y mami y 9 de parte de papi. Como mis dos hermanas eran más grandes, eran mayores que yo, ellas se ocupaban de cocinar, de arreglar todo en la casa, de hacer todos los haceres de la casa. Ellas eran las responsables. Ellas se encargaban de cocinar, de hacer lo que tenía que hacer. Ellas dos se encargaban de todo. Hasta que llegó mi mamá y después llegó mami, todo normal. Okay. Entonces yo no sentí esa presión de
tener que outperform, had to do like extra.
Exacto. Entonces, papi y mami siempre me criaron con el... Mi papá tiene su propia oficina aquí en el Bronx. Tiene 20 años la oficina. So he was an entrepreneur. So I never felt like less than. I always felt, or my parents always made me feel como que tú puedes hacer lo que tú quieras.
Okay, great.
En este mundo. So that's how I grew up. So I didn't feel pressure en ese sentido. It was more of like teenage things. Like, me quiero ir. I don't want to live here. Las reglas de los dominicanos.
You had that moment, that stage in your life where you wanted to like go back to the art and stuff?
Not to the art. I wanted to leave
New York City.
Ruling of my mom and dad.
Oh, yeah. Because you wanted to be independent.
Yes. Okay, tú tienes que llegar a esta hora. Tú no puedes salir de aquí. Tú tienes que llegar a esta hora. Tú no puedes ir sola. Hay una anécdota que yo nunca le he dicho en el público. In between my house, yes, pero no el público, because yo no me recuerdo. Mi hermana y mi papá y mi mamá se recuerdan. Yo no me acuerdo.
You don't remember that?
No. In high school, I used to go to Elizabeth Modeling International. I was to be a model. I love modeling. Siempre me han dicho, tú da pa' eso, tú da pa' eso. So I went down that path. Yo no sé cómo pasó, pero I was in a PDD thing. Like, I don't know what it was. And so I don't remember it, right? Y mi mamá y mi hermana me dicen, claro que yo, mi hermana específicamente, mi hermana más grande, claro que yo me recuerdo. They made me go with you. They didn't let you go by yourself because you were underage. Y papi y mami siendo papi y mami, que tú no vas a salir, que tú no vas para ningún lado. Exacto. Entonces, supuestamente yo estuve ahí y Faith Hill, I think, was there y todo. That's what my sister said.
Mhm.
Like I said, yo
You still do not remember that.
zero recollection. Of this event. Yo he hecho muchas cosas en mi vida.
Mhm.
A lot. Zero recollection. Like, I went to American Idol. I've done a lot of stuff. Zero recollection of this.
Goodness.
Pero yo sé qué pasó porque mi hermana y mi papá, you know, my sister's not gonna lie.
Tú tienes todo, you are pursuing somehow art.
Yes.
Tú acabas de mencionar que you went to American Idol.
Yes.
How did that go? What's up there? What happened?
I used to sing at South Bronx High School,
Mhm.
the high school that we went
That you
to.
went to?
I used to sing. I don't do it professionally because, again, back to the roots and the parents and the rate. ¿Qué te va a dar ti dinero?
Yeah.
¿Con qué tú vas a progresar? Ese mundo no es, tú supiste. There wasn't, as much as they supported me, right? Like, yo buscaba la manera y ellos iban ahí conmigo. American Idol was a thing back in the 90s.
Mhm.
And they were in New York, so I went. I remember getting out. This I will never forget. I remember getting out, and the guy was like, "Oh, you're supposed to go that way," and I was like, "No, they told me no, so I'm leaving," and I left. I should have listened to the guy and just gone.
And just go that way, yeah.
A ver qué lo que. Pero Nelia no hizo eso.
You follow the rule.
I did.
The moment you were supposed to break the rule, you follow the rule.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I know.
You could have been, I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe
¿Quién sabe? ¿Quién sabe? So now I sing for myself. I karaoke a lot. I have fun with it. I love singing, but it's not a career.
You está en el arte, pursuing art in many different ways, fashion, singing now. What then led you to enlist in the U.S. Marine Corps?
So that was the funniest thing because it was like a 180.
That's a big 180.
Porque Nelia era una asistente de modelaje
De la academia.
de la academia. Because I was teaching then how to model, how to walk, and stuff like that. And I was great with the books. I was balancing the books y todo. But the problem was that I wanted to get out of New York City. I wanted to leave because I wanted to be free of this, tiene que llegar a esta hora, tiene que hacer esto, tiene que hacer lo otro, like very restrictive Dominican household. What better way than to travel the world, explore, and then 9/11 had just happened.
Oh.
Because I enlisted in 2004. I graduated 2002. I enlisted in 2004. Right after 9/11 happened, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And I didn't tell my parents because I was already 18, so I didn't have to.
Oh.
So I enlisted, and that was the first time I saw my dad ever get teary-eyed. Por primera vez en la vida.
So you enlisted, you didn't tell your parents because you were 18, you were...
Yeah, yo no le dije hasta que ya yo casi me iba, ¿verdad?
Mm-hmm.
Y ya cuando ya yo me iba, yo le dije, oh, I enlisted in the Marine Corps, and I'm leaving. And
How did they take it? You say your father cried.
Yeah, my father was emotional. Mommy, forget about it. Like, of course. She was like, ay, Dios mío, te va a mandar para la guerra. Of course. You know, her baby, again. Yo digo que soy la más chiquita, aunque yo no sea la más chiquita. Yo me siento que todavía soy la más chiquita.
Tú eres la más chiquita.
Porque que mi hermano tiene como 7 años de diferencia. So
tú fuiste la más chiquita por un largo tiempo.
Y de tamaño yo soy la más chiquita.
¿Y de tamaño también?
Sí, porque toditas son...
Goodness,
I'm 5'6". Yeah, everybody, yeah. My dad is 6-something. Everybody's tall.
The military, being in the military, having that experience, traveling the world and all that stuff, change how you see yourself as a Latina woman.
When I joined the military and I was shipped out to San Diego, California. No, mentira, no fue San Diego. I was shipped out to California, but it was Camp Pendleton, California. That's when I started meeting all kinds of different people from all kinds of different places in the States que yo ni sabía que existían.
Que existían.
Everybody thought I was half white, half black. They had no idea I was Latina.
Wow.
And that's how I was treated for most of my time, especialmente en California.
Was that a positive or negative?
For me, it was not who I was. nothing to take away from their culture. It's just not my culture. That's not how I was raised. That I wasn't raised as a half white, half black American person. My house was Dominican Republic within the four walls. In the United States, when you step outside. That's how I grew up. So I felt robbed when people wouldn't recognize or understand. Cuando yo me ponía el pelo así, era que ellos me decían, are you mixed? It was so much so, I have the Dominican Republic tattooed on my back. La isla, con el color de la bandera.
Did you tattoo it because of that situation you were going through there?
Yeah, it's because of the lack of understanding of who I am and where is the Dominican Republic. And, you know, music put us on the map. Romeo Santo had a huge uptake when I was over there in that time. Y ahí fue que la gente comenzó. Porque cuando ellos me oían a mí hablando en español, me decían, ¿y de qué parte de México tú eres?
Like what?
But I have gotten that in so many countries. Yo fui a Egipto y a mí me decían, oh, tú eres de esta isla de Egipto. No, I'm just Dominican.
Wow, and did they like recognize or knew that?
No, yo le tenía que decir. Yo viví en Lima, Perú por un año y en Addis Ababa, Ethiopia por un año when I was enlisted in the service. I was a Marine security guard. So I worked in the embassies overseas and I did detail for Condoleezza Rice and President Bush and stuff like that. I had to tell them, like in Ethiopia, when they thought I was Ethiopian and they tried to talk to me in Amharic, their own language, I was like, no, English or Spanish, I'm sorry. English or Spanish, that's it, that's where I am. I had to tell them, you know where Cuba is? Because ellos tuvieron un roce con Cuba. And I would say, okay, it's around Cuba. Like it's around Cuba.
¿Y qué por ahí?
Exactamente, para que como que se puedan ubicar where I am from.
Where you're from.
Right. But that didn't bother me being in a foreign country. I was in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I don't expect them to know where the Dominican Republic is.
Yeah.
The United States is different because, dime, ¿cómo que tú no sabes?
¿Cómo tú sabes que estamos aquí mismo?
That to me was a little bit, again, I was really young and it kind of took away, like, I don't know what being half white and half black is. I have no idea what experience of a person that is. Nothing against them, but I don't know it because I didn't live that. I lived my very restricted Dominican household.
When did like cybersecurity become a calling for you?
When I was in the service, I was doing cyber physically, but I didn't know it, right? So
you were doing cyber physically. Can you help me understand that?
Being a Marine security guard, I had access to CCTV systems and different kind of surveillance or walking around that I would do, access to classified information, and a lot of different things that have to do with cyber, right? Physically. The fact that I have access to the doors closing and opening, and I remember I got an award for making sure that this didn't open until this door opened. I didn't even know that was a men trap, like a men in the middle kind of thing that I was trying to do. These are cybersecurity concepts that I had no idea I was doing.
You were doing
when I was in the service. So the same thing with the gate, the guard, all of that is cyber. It's just physical security, right? In order for you to get into the gate, the things have to go down. There's barbed wires. All of that is physical security, all of it. The ID card is called CAT card that you have to swipe in. It has a PKI inside of it. All of that is cyber. Yo no lo sabía, but all of it is. Fast forward to when I started working for personnel security, which is the clearance portion of it. So para tú obtener una clearance, tú necesitas, there's a lot of paperwork that you have to go through. I started doing that. So that is also part of security, but it was personnel security. And then I moved into computer security. And I was a lab manager at a lab that held different clearances in San Diego, California. And then from there, I studied. I got my bachelor's degree. And that's when cyber security started for me.
Have you ever felt in that space, in the tech space, have you ever felt like underestimated?
So the interesting part is that I was not just in the service. I was in the United States Marine Corps. Una de las cosas que nosotros decimos las mujeres is the slogan for the Marine Corps is the few, the proud. The female Marine or the fewer, the prouder.
Wow.
Porque somos mínimo. O sea, y no solamente eso, añádele que yo hice una especialización. Going into the Marine Security Guard is training in Quantico. It's a specialized training. Not everybody gets to do that. So in the military, when I was living overseas, even in the military on base, there's not a lot of female Marines. There's just not. So I already lived the life of being a female, a Latina, like my entire military career. Entire. So in my post in Lima, Peru, eran 5. Y de los 5, yo era la única mujer. And then another one. So there was 2 of us there. When I went to Lima, Peru, there was 14. And I was the only female for at least 6 months. And then 2 more females.
What reason could it be that there's like less females in that field?
There's less females in the Marine Corps.
In the Marine Corps.
I don't know why. Is it because it's a higher tier? I mean, I'm sorry, we're very cocky. And the United States Marine Corps is the best service. Sorry.
Okay, there we go.
But, they train us to think that way.
To feel and think and be.
And to feel, exactamente.
Okay.
So I'm sure the comments will flare off with the Navy and the Marine Corps, and the Navy's going to be like, oh, but we carry you everywhere, and blah, blah, blah. I get it.
Oh, so there's this.
Oh, yeah, there's
oh, goodness, I can't wait.
But, so to your question, my point was that I already lived that life of being the only, right? Or one of the few. And then going into cyber was the same thing.
It was the same thing.
Same situation. You walk into a boardroom, you walk into a room, you walk into a lab, you walk into all these spaces, and you find yourself being 1 or 2. Latina, forget about it. Forget about it. Female, few. Latina, mucho menos.
Mucho menos.
I think the percentage for Latinas in cyber is about 3 to 4% right now.
So what does leadership looks like in the technical space?
So it looks different in different areas. I work for Yale University at the School of Management specifically. I make that distinction because Yale is really big. And you have Central Yale, and then you have the professional schools. And I am in one of the professional schools, which is the School of Management. And leadership for me looks different because I'm the only one at the School of Management that does cybersecurity. I am the only one that has the title of Information System Security. Me and my boss, who is the CIO, Chief Information Officer, who I report to. So that's it. The team is small. It's not big like in Central where this is a white glove kind of service. This is if you need help with certain things, we will help you. We will go the extra mile that we need to provide a white glove type of service, right? In my previous role, I was the director of expansion for Latinas in Cyber. I had recently stepped down because of some changes happening there, but I had 2 direct reports, which was the New York lead and the Chicago lead. We were to open chapters in New York and in Chicago. So the leadership looks like making sure that the job is getting done and managing down and up, because you have to manage your direct reports, but you also have to manage the expectations of the leaders, right? The leaders above you. You have to manage that expectation. You have to give your reports some type of buffer. For me, I like to take the brunt of whatever is coming from above so that is not trickle down to my direct reports, and I want them to shine. Yo solamente estoy aquí para facilitar, right? And whatever they get to do, they did it. And I want them to get the recognition, right?
Okay.
That's what I feel a good leader is. Because your job as a leader is to set the expectation, right? They're going to get the job done. And you applaud them and support them and clear whatever roadblocks they have going on. That's your job. And your job is also to manage above you and make sure that your team is taken care of.
So are there many...
There's two females.
Two females?
In the entire School of Management that are
in
leaders.
The entire School of Management.
That are leaders for the technology piece. I'm not talking about outside the technology piece.
For the technology piece.
Yeah. In our leadership meeting, it's me and someone else. And she's a female, but she's not Latina.
So you're the only Latina?
Yes.
So you're triple minority because you female with her, right? You're still both minorities. You're Latina and you're Dominican.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that feel? Like being just like the only one in the room kind of thing?
Familiar. To be honest with you, familiar because I've lived it for so long. I want more people. I want more Dominicans. So mira, ya me estoy erizando. I want Dominicans to be more Latina, Dominicanas, to be in this space, to be in this field. I want the world to stop thinking that gatekeeping is okay. I want the world to understand that we all have the same opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And I want my Latinas, my Dominicans to go after it. Because no hay ninguna diferencia entre una persona y yo. That's how I feel. That's how I see it. Para mí, el sol brilla para todo el mundo. If McDonald's and Burger King can make fries and succeed, todas podemos estar en the field. We can all be in the same field. We can all prospect. Mm-hmm. We all bring different things to the table.
How do we... I'm saying we like I'm a female. How...
It's okay, we'll accept you.
How can we get more females, Latina, Dominicans to have an interest, to not feel that they do not belong? Because part of the issue is that culturalmente la mujer latina y dominicana sienten que they just fit in certain circles. ¿Cómo uno puede lograr romper esa barrera de que la mujer latina, la mujer dominicana entienda o pueda ver más allá de lo que culturalmente se le permite?
Yo creo que tiene que ver, es individual, porque I'm going to be honest with you, there's something that is imposter syndrome. And I feel that sometimes. And I've been in this field for a long time, but I feel it. Why? Because you got to look at yourself like, oh my God, I'm really doing this. Oh my God, this is really me. Like, you do. You look at yourself and you're like, oh, really? Did I do it right? Did I do it right? Is that the right thing to do?
Mm.
And you know what's more interesting? And I'm going to get to answer your question directly in a minute. But what more interesting is like, vamos a suponer que un trabajo, ¿verdad? Yo estoy aplicando para un trabajo. Y otra persona que tiene mis mismas cualificaciones está aplicando por un trabajo. Y yo veo que ese trabajo dice que tú necesitas tener 20 años. Yo solamente tengo 15. Yo no aplico. ¿Y tú sabes lo que él hace? Él aplica. And that's just female and male, period. So, lo que yo le digo a las mujeres, where's the camera? Which camera is it?
Allá mismo. Esa es la tuya.
Que apliquen with white male energy. That is how you apply to jobs. Because los hombres no ven la cosa como nosotros lo vemos. Which I was shocked.
That's true.
Because yo llamé, y I have male friends, and I'm like, oye, yo me estoy diciendo de esta manera, ¿qué tú piensas? And their answer shocked me. Shocked me. I was like, you still up?
Just go for it.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, they do that. And we are over here thinking, oh, pero mira, ahí dice 15, ahí dice 20. Y yo como solamente tengo 19 y medio, yo no voy a aplicar.
No voy a calificar porque probablemente va a venir otro que califique.
Exactamente.
Nah, you gotta be in there.
It's like we talk ourselves out of it.
Uh-huh.
And it's something that I say in my channel. It's like you need to make sure that you don't let them tell you no. You know what I mean? Let them tell you no. You don't say no. No te ponga. Y de una vez como que take yourself out of the running without even trying.
Giving it a shot, yeah.
1000%. Like, at least put it out there. Si te dicen que no, te dijeron que no. And that's it. But it takes a lot of grit to get to that point. Because I'm telling you, I am seasoned in this career. And I have imposter syndrome. And it happened to me when I was applying. I was like, oh, pero dice esto, I'm not going to apply to that.
Wow.
So it takes repetition, and it takes you having a good support system and people that are rooting for you to tell you, go for it, do it. Tampoco cualquier vaina, because, vamos a ser claro. Vamos a ser claro. Some people have some circles that, no, please, no. Pero para lo positivo, sí. Like, make sure that you have people that can support you, that tell you, hey, yeah, go for it, try it, do it, why not, reach out to me.
Tú eres sobreviviente de cáncer. Cuéntame un poquito sobre ese proceso.
Eso es una historia muy larga, pero te la voy a hacer corta, pero es larga.
Okay.
I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2019. I had symptoms of Hodgkin's lymphoma since 2018. It took a year for me to get diagnosed. So much transcribe. Empezó con una picazón. Y como era winter, yo no pensé mucho, maybe just ponte más lotion. Empezó así. Después, it just kept getting worse. To the point que yo ni podía, because it was so itchy, that I couldn't even drive. I was just like itching. Itching all over. De los pies a la cabeza. Yo me recuerdo que en ese entonces yo tenía una amiga y ella iba a celebrar su cumpleaños en grande y se iba para la República Dominicana. Para la terrena.
Yeah,
para allá.
very famous for that.
I'm like, I know that's what it's known for.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yes. Para la terrena. Nosotros no íbamos para la terrena, ella iba a celebrar en grande, entonces iba para la terrena. Yo me acuerdo que como íbamos a llegar a la capital, yo dije, okay, I will meet you guys there. Yo voy a llegar a la capital y yo me voy, porque yo tengo familia en la capital. Mi prima es doctora. Yo voy a llegar a la capital y yo me voy a ir a los médicos en la República Dominicana a ver qué es lo que es, porque aquí te mandan, oye, toma esto, nos vemos en una semana. Oye, toma esto, nos vemos en otra semana. Y tras semana, yo todavía tenía el mismo dolor, tenía los mismos síntomas. Fui al hospital 10,000 veces, a bunch of times. I remember calling my dad, crying. Dad, I really need you to come and take care of the kids, because al punto yo soy madre, tengo 3 muchachos. Dad, I really need you to come. I need you to stay with the kids. And I don't call my dad for that. That's how desperate I was and how bad I was feeling, that I needed to rush to the hospital because it was bad. Entonces, yo llego a la República Dominicana, mi primo me recoge, me lleva al médico, mi prima me dice con quién me tengo que ver, voy al doctor, le explico todo lo que está pasando y me dice, tú tienes que hacer una resonancia con un diferencial. Y yo, ok, ya eso me lo ordenaron allá y aquí yo creo que costaba $350 en ese tiempo.
¿Aquí?
No, allá.
Allá.
Ajá, porque tú sabes que hay que pagar cash, porque yo no tengo nada allá. Entonces yo dije, bueno, ya yo tengo las mismas indicaciones allá, lo que yo voy a hacer es cuando me llegue el resultado, si ellos no me resuelven, yo se lo voy a mandar a usted. Entonces ya yo tenía el WhatsApp del doctor y todo.
¿Pero tú lo habías hecho aquí ya?
No.
No, ok.
No, porque yo estaba brincando de doctor en doctor hasta que yo misma me diagnosticé con algo y le dije, yo tengo que ver un doctor del hígado porque yo creo que yo tengo un problema en el hígado y eso es lo que yo necesito. Entonces, cuando yo fui a ese doctor, el doctor me tomó sangre y dijo, tú tienes tumores de cáncer. Ya yo te mandé la resonancia. Just make sure that you go to your appointment and get it done because your insurance already approved it. Pero ya yo estaba en camino a la República Dominicana, vamos a decir. Entonces, cuando ellos me dijeron eso, en la República Dominicana, yo dije, ok, no hay problema. Cuando yo regrese, vamos a ver los resultados. Si ellos ya no me resuelven, yo se lo voy a mandar a usted. Me dijeron, no tome sol, no esto, no lo otro. So, yo me pasé mis vacaciones.
No tome sol en la terrena.
Yo me pasé mis vacaciones tomando sol, pero también me pasé mucho en la cama y yo no estaba bien. Entonces, salía cuando podía, me quedaba cuando no podía. I still had a good time. Entonces, después cuando regresé, fui al doctor, me hice el cosa y fue que ellos me dijeron, you have cancer, you need a good health insurance and a great support system, and you're going to lose all of your hair. And you gotta just like that. And you got to talk to an oncologist because no era ni el oncólogo. Y yo ni sabía que era un oncólogo.
My God.
I had no idea what that was. That's how I found out I had cancer.
How did that diagnosis shape your perspective?
I want to answer this from a different approach, and that's from the motherhood approach.
Okay.
Because me, as you have heard my story of being in the military and be the only woman, and I didn't tell you, getting sexually harassed, and dealing with men, and being in a cybersecurity field where I am the only, or one of the few, again, dealing with men being very inappropriate. It has been a life of trials and tribulations, period. And despite that, I love life. And I'm here to live it, and I'm here to smile, and I'm very happy with everything because I understand that all of our time are limited in this world. Y lo más importante es vivir. Punto. When cancer came, it was another test that I had to pass. But I wasn't going to pass laying down because that's not who I am. So that's why I want to answer it through my children, because my children had to grow up faster because mommy didn't feel good and mommy had to be laying down a lot in bed and mommy couldn't make dinner and mommy couldn't do this or that. So it made them grow up a little bit faster than they needed to because they needed to take care of mommy sometimes. So
they became your support in a way.
Yeah. Thankfully, I had my mom who always came. And like I said, you wouldn't tell that I was going into chemo treatment because yo iba al trabajo. Yo salía del trabajo. I used to work at Fordham University. Yo salía del trabajo a las 12:30 para ir a recoger a mami que vivía en el Bronx, para traerla para Westchester County, White Plains, New York. Mami me cocinaba. Mientras mami me cocinaba, yo iba al gimnasio to get some cardio in before the life was taken out of me sitting in a chair at chemo. And I went to chemo.
And that all throughout your process with cancer.
Yeah. This was all, yo te estoy diciendo un día. A day in my life, ¿verdad?
Mm-hmm.
Era el día de treatment, que eran todos los jueves. Los jueves eran my treatment days. Yo me levantaba, los niños se iban para la escuela, I put them in the bus. Yo me iba para el trabajo, I would work hasta las 2:30 del mediodía. Después buscaba a mami. Después llegaba a la casa. Mientras mami me estaba cocinando la comida, yo me iba al gimnasio por 20-30 minutos a hacer cardio. Después yo llegaba, mi comida, y me iba a seguir treatment. Y mami buscaba a los niños cuando llegaban en la guagua. And then I came later in the night with just right to bed. Like, that's it. I'm going to bed.
So is discipline your superpower or your armor? Because you have to be very disciplined to go through and be everything you are.
I am very disciplined. I am. I wouldn't say discipline. I would say survivor. Because surviving the different stages of my life, it's my superpower. Being a camouflage and being able to deal with all of these things that happen in life and continue on no matter what. Like, sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, ¿qué? Yo no sé, but I love life. So let's keep playing.
That's a good attitude. That's the attitude.
But discipline goes in hand with that, just because if I wasn't disciplined, I wouldn't have been able to get through each step, each phase of my life, right? Like if I didn't have the discipline to understand that this is a phase and it's going to pass and you have to do what you need to do to get through it.
So what grounds you outside of work?
My children, my family, love. I love love.
How does fitness connect to your mental strength?
We're going to go back to high school. When I was in high school, I used to go to class at 6 a.m.
Most high school kids do not want to do fitness.
Right. Most high school kids don't want to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to be at school at 6 o'clock in the morning. Esta loca.
Especially to do fitness.
Right, especially to work out. I used to do that just to do it. There was yo no competía nada, yo no hacía nada.
You just wanted to do it. It was something that...
Algo como que yo tenía por dentro, que yo no sabía que yo tenía por dentro. Because how do you explain my 180 into the military? You cannot explain that.
Conchale.
Except that things start adding up. Oh, I actually did fitness when I was in high school. Oh, I went to the military, fitness again. So I found bodybuilding through a friend that I used to have. She actually introduced me to this world. When I learned about it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Because I have to work on the gym, but I get to put my heels on, put a bikini on, and walk on stage. So that's like combining the arts with my discipline and who I am. And I was like, oh, I wish I would have known about it sooner.
Es muy interesante como you have gone through all these stages in life. You have done this many things y se combinan todo ahí.
Sí, exacto. So that's kind of like how I feel. I can still, because I've also modeled, obviously, for a long time. And I try to model like every country that I've been to. I've found a way to model. And I've gone on stage. Like my favorite fashion show of all times was in Africa. In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, they put me as an international. Yo era chaparra compared to those Amazonian beautiful fucking women. They were beautiful. Sorry, I cursed.
It's allowed.
They were beautiful. And it was such an honor, but it was so freaking cool. Because I would go on stage, and as soon as I would come off stage, they were undressing me as I was walking and dressing me back on. It was so cool. Like I had never, ever done something that exhilarating. Like, oh my God, this is so cool. I love this. So I did it in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The place was a Marriott. It was like the happening place in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I started singing again. And I went to a studio and we recorded something and we had fun. Nothing came out of it, but it was just again, that love of the arts for me that I've always had. And it was just so much fun.
Well, so you do have a competition coming up.
I hired a coach a year ago, I think. And I started building because you're supposed to build. And so I started gaining weight, which I didn't like. They were like, muscle weighs more than fat. I'm still processing that information because being a model, you're like this. No muscle, no, you're like this, okay? So I'm like, but this is weird to me. Trust the process is what I was told. So that's what I'm doing. This is new to me. I've never done a bodybuilding show before. I did one, but it was with a different federation. And this is like the cream of the crop kind of federation. And so I was like, I'm not getting on stage if I'm not competitive. Because I have that in me, right? I'm very competitive. And I'm like, if my physique is not there, I'm not going to get on stage. It's going to take longer. And I don't care. That is going to take longer because I want to be competitive. Like, I want it bad. So I'm like, no, I got to put in the work and it has to be right. But then again, if I don't get on stage to see what the critique is or what the judges see that I don't see, that they want to see, then I'm not going to be able to improve. So there is that. You should still get on stage and still see where you fit in, if this is right, whatever. Just test it, try it out.
Yeah, get the feedback.
Exactly. Get the feedback and then work on it. So es en abril 25 de este año. Es el show. I'm excited about it. It's a lot of work.
¿Cómo es un día en tu vida?
Es que recuérdate que
you do so many things. It's crazy.
I was in the military. I do have PTSD. I do have problems. The way I deal with my problems is juggling 20 balls at a time so that I don't have to think about my problem. My therapist doesn't like that, but that's okay. We're working on her.
So you're working on your therapist.
I'm working on her. But that's what I do. So what a typical day? Well, let me tell you. A Wednesday looks different than a Monday. On a Wednesday, I tried to record for my podcast. On the way down here, I had my camera on. I was recording for my other podcast, for my With Nelia podcast. That's the podcast about fitness, lifestyle, and travel. On Wednesdays, I sit down on my little computer and I do my Cyber with Nelia, where I try to give information and give whatever insights I can to people that are transitioning to cybersecurity or people that are new into cybersecurity. So that's what that channel is about. So that's what I do on Wednesdays. Because I don't have to lift on Wednesdays, but I do have to do cardio. My husband takes our child to school. My two older are older. They take the bus. So the two older get to school, and then the baby, my husband gets her to school most days. So then I just wake up. I work from home. Most of the times I go in office sometimes. And when I do go in office, it's either Monday or Wednesday because I don't have to lift on Monday or Wednesday. So that's kind of like a day. Wednesdays also, I have my teaching assistant work a las 8 de la noche, and my daughter goes to volleyball from 6:45 to 7.
So you work at Yale University?
Yes.
Let's just make that clear, por favor.
Yes, that's my full-time job.
That's your full-time job. Yes. You also getting ready to, you lift weight, you do fitness. You have 2 podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
You are family. You have 3 kids.
3 kids.
3 kids.
And a husband.
And a husband. And you also find time to do a teaching assistant job.
It's from 8 to 9 p.m. The baby's already asleep. There's 24 hours in every single day. We all have the same 24 hours. I just use it a little differently.
Very differently.
And it's in technology as well. I'm teaching CompTIA+, so I'm teaching in my field. So it's not like
you have to grab.
And I'm not teaching. I'm a teaching assistant. Mm-hmm. So on Wednesdays, I have my sessions that I lead, where I help the students mostly understand the material. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm there for the professor, but more like on the back end.
Do you have a you time that's just for you, the gym?
That is
your you time.
Yeah, that is why I do the gym. That's the only thing that I get to do. I get to go to the gym and I get to dance if I want to. I get to jump up and down if I want to. The only person that's being taken care of at the gym is Nelia, nobody else. So that's why I love it. And it's like, yeah, I am the ante by competing, but I get to do my hair. I get to do this. I get that's the fun. That's the one thing I get to do. So that's the Nelia thing.
What message do you hope young immigrant girls hear from your story?
That everything is possible, that you can do and achieve whatever you want.
When history tells the story of Latina women in this area, in tech, in cyberspace, or in the Marine Corps, right? Or in fitness, what do you want it to tell about you?
That I was a trailblazer for opening the doors for other Latinas, especially Dominicans. I really want that. I want to bring cyber to Dominican Republic. And I know it's already started and it's already there because yo hablé con Jonesi because of your podcast.
Great guy, great Jonesi.
Yes. And he told me it's there. I want the resources to come to Dominican Republic.
So let's work on making that area. I mean, it's already in the work.
Yeah.
So it's just, let's continue the work. Nelia, thank you so much. Your story is so impactful. I have learned so much about you.
Es como una cajita de sorpresa.
Yeah.
There's like so many layers.
Gracias. Thank you for opening up, bringing your story to the Latin experience.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.